All right, we good? Okay, 5:30 having arrived, I'm going to call the Select Board meeting of August 9th, 2021 to order and start with a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first order of business this evening is not listed, but I'm going to recognize Travis from the VZ Park Commission to give us an update on the tree removal that we talked about at our last meeting. I believe some progress has been made.
I am hoping so. So I have been in contact with a local outfit, aerial tree removal. We settled on Saturday. He can actually come down on Saturday and take care of all of the trees that need to be taken care of right now. Andrea and Harry Hodling actually marked the trees for us that they were concerned with. It looks like there's about 8 or 10 trees. When I was getting quotes over the phone, I was getting quotes for about $300 a tree. This gentleman's happy to come down and just charge us a day rate. It looks like we're looking at about $1,500 to take care of as much as he possibly can, bring the chipper down and everything so it's all cleaned up and out of the way. So
Great.
I would assume we're closing VZ Park for that Saturday, or?
Well, the trees are actually out of the way. So what I was thinking was just putting up some caution tape in the area that anything possibly could happen. So I think we could safely keep the public away from what we were doing.
Which Saturday are you talking?
This Saturday, so the 14th,
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
They got a rain date of the 21st?
I hope it'd be sooner than that. I'm praying for no rain. Does that work?
No, I didn't know if everybody was at the Old Home Day, they wouldn't be at the beach.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. I'd like to get. I mean, I was kind of hoping
You
to
better
get
get them
them
while
down
you can
there
get them, if you, right now with this.
as soon as we can, really.
Yeah, and that sounds like a great rate, too.
Yep.
Will the chips stay here, or will they be taking them?
I think we're gonna keep the chips and use them on the kayak path. The last load of chips we got was kind of wet and just unruly kind of chips, so
Okay.
I'd like to keep
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Great. It sounds good to me. Does anyone else have questions for Travis while he's here?
Just thank
How's
you.
it going up there, Travis?
It's been a good season. It's been a real good season. We're working on rebuilding the swim lesson program. We just did basic swim lessons down there this year, so that's going really well. We are extremely well staffed, which is amazing because most of the places around here couldn't find lifeguards. So we were real fortunate to have a lot return and have a few extras come on board. We weren't able to get anybody swim instructors certified because they just weren't holding the classes at any times that were our guards would be available to take them. So we just went with the basic swim lessons, which we can do without the certified swim instructor. So hopefully next year we'll expand that. Attendance is huge. We're having great numbers down there this year. And with the park attendant, I know it's not in our budget, but we've got a park attendant down there every day, and it has been a godsend for not only the lifeguards, but myself too. I'm not down there checking stickers all the time, so that's worked out real well. I'd like to keep that position going. But all in all, I think it's great this year. Yeah.
Great. Dick?
No, that's all good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming in, Travis. Appreciate it. And I know the Hodlings and maybe some other folks over that way will be happy that those trees are getting taken care of, too.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So I'll get going on that, and I will notify the Hodlings that we're moving forward.
Great.
Excellent.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Mr. Cross is not going to be with us this evening, and just an update on the Ridge Roads proceedings. John actually called him and told him that, I had no new information. I am having a meeting with John Booton, the attorney, tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. I think it's going to be if I can get credentials, it's either going to be a phone conversation or a Zoom or MS Teams call if he's got documents that he wants to review. So if I get the credentials and figure out how to do it, I'll get those to anyone else that's interested that wants to sit in. But if that fails, I'll be having a phone conversation with it. That said, we have Mr. Pelletier here to give us an update on building inspection and transfer station. Good evening, Mr. Pelletier.
Good evening. Well, we're still building houses.
Suspected as much.
We have a couple of conversions going on, a couple of McMansions going on in the lake, conversions that are gonna grow immensely, and a couple of new ones, one on Middle, one on South Road. And I have 3 more on my desk that I haven't looked at.
Any new subdivisions that you're aware of, Rick, that are coming
No,
along?
not at this point. I know someone is trying to buy the 96 acres on Mountain Delight Road. I guess there's a 96-acre piece up there that someone is actively pursuing. But that's all I know at this point. Other than that, transfer station is the transfer station. Any further discussion would be best done in private session.
Well, on the transfer station, it's filling up faster than usual, isn't it? We seem to be making a lot of trash.
No, we're a little bit below last year at this time this year.
Really?
Yeah, tonnage is, we're holding our own. There's been fairly steady this year. I don't think, we'll surpass the budget again because we're on a 5-year-old budget, but,
I just keep going out. I go up Tuesday and Thursdays, and it seems like more often than not, we're filling the other dumpster up on the, I guess it's usually the plastic dumpster, and we're throwing household in that, so I thought we were pushing harder than usual on the regular dumpsters.
actually, we've been using the other one because we've been packing the larger dumpster a little bit heavy, and the driver's been complaining. He's only allowed to haul 100,000. We often give him 110, 115, and he's concerned because he has an overweight permit to move that material. So other than that, we're pretty much on cue right now at this point in time.
And we did get Steve back too, I noticed.
Steve is back for a while. He said he'd stay longer, but that could change
Okay.
at this point in time. All right,
Well, we're glad to have him right now.
but,
Is the recycling market still completely
yeah.
down?
Yeah, it's not, there's very little going on. Steel is up,
Yeah.
but we don't sort our steel, so we don't get good money for steel. We mix it with, things like bicycles and lawnmowers, which contain plastics and things like that. Again, some of this stuff, unless we want to sit someone there and physically take things like lawnmowers apart and microwaves apart and take certain components out of them and so forth, you're never going to get top dollar for your metal. I mean, you could have a separate dumpster and do just car parts and things of that nature. That brings a fairly good return, but we throw that all in the same metal dumpster at this point in time. We really would need more personnel if we wanted to actually sit there and pick through things and sort them.
And is cardboard and paper still,
Still down, very low,
okay.
okay? The well company is going to get in touch with me probably end of August, 1st of September. Septic designer, when he gets back from vacation in a couple of weeks, we'll get a plan done for a septic system. And oil tank at the library is all set. I just finished that, repiping that tank. And as soon as the highway department empties the oil tank at the highway department, we'll replace and repipe that one, or I'll replace and repipe that one. If you can get it done this week, I'll do it this week. If not, it'll be another week.
Okay,
Good
great.
job.
Any other questions for Rick while he's here?
Anything on the lot across from Freese's Pond? Across from Mr. Mike's on Freese's Pond, I saw they were digging test pits the other day. Have we seen any plans on that?
No, that's a ways down the road.
Okay.
He has various plans. He's looking at some grant money for potential affordable housing and so forth, but I really don't know how he's making out. I mean, I haven't, other than test pits, I haven't seen any design plans or anything. It'll go to the planning board before it comes to me anyways. And there's been no inquiries whatsoever on their part about that property.
Did you just say you wanted a non-public?
Huh?
Did you say you wanted a non-public?
Well, we could plan one at some point.
Okay.
All right. If we've got nothing more for Rick at this point, I would thank you for joining us, Rick,
Okay,
and keeping us up to speed.
very good.
Thank you for the plumbing.
What's that?
Thank you for the plumbing on that oil tank.
All right. You're welcome. Have a good one.
Okay, if the board doesn't mind, I'm going to take an item out of order here. We've got the water commissioners, we have the Adams with us, Mr. Cross, and I'd like to talk about the Thurston Pond Dam work before we do our regular business, so
Good idea.
everyone that doesn't want to, doesn't have to sit here and listen to us. And that said, I think everybody is aware that there was concern about the beaver debris removal at Thurston Pond Dam. The Board of Selectmen was certainly made aware that there was concern. It appeared to residents, excuse me, and other folks that viewed the dam after the beaver debris was removed, that it looked quite likely that some stonework had been removed. We have in our packets, and we had this electronically too, pictures that DES sent us of some of the original plans for the dam that showed sort of a ring collar of smaller rocks before the spillway actually out into the pond. And I know there is interest in the community in putting some of that structure back to the way it was. Obviously, you can't do a whole lot without getting DES involved. I think we likely could put a stone collar back in place there. The research I've done leads me to believe that that was laid out as a 3-rod road, which would be a 49.5-foot wide road. So, from the center, we have, close to 25 feet extending into the water there that would fall under the original layout of that road. So at this point, I know the Adams had contacted us about wanting to make some comment or talk about plan with regard to restoration. I had also notified the Heritage Commission and the Conservation Commission of what had happened there. And I don't know if anyone wants to speak to that directly at this time. We did invite the Water Commission to be present, and 2 of the members are here with us this evening. The Water Commission is specifically charged with maintenance and keeping an eye on Thurston Pond Dam and Freese's Pond Dam. And depending on who's on the Water Commission, there's been more activity and less activity from year to year, but it felt appropriate to include you folks in any discussion we had. And I don't know if anyone wants to take the microphone at this point and talk to us about potential plans, or at this point, the Board of Selectmen has made no specific plan to reinsert stones or certainly not remove any more material from the dam. But if you would like to comment, please step to the microphone, give us your name for the minutes.
Hi, Brian Adams, I'm a butter. So the so I had originally texted George Thompson, a land owner, a butter, to some rocks coming out of place for the buttress of the bridge of the whole dam structure. And now that the water is much lower, I've cleared out a lot of the vines, the grapevines that were growing over there. And So it's pretty evident that, like, overall, it'd be great to see the rock collar restored and the water level brought up to some degree. But I think, in the, like, a more important item would be the original rock buttress that I had alerted George Thompson to. Now that you can see everything, you can tell that the rock buttress is coming apart from the base. And so,
On the upstream, downstream?
yeah, on the upstream, right side, there's, some significant large rocks coming out from the base of that buttress. And I've been looking at it because I walk through there all the time, and, all the stones, I think a lot of the stones could be removed without removing any of the actual granite slabs that comprise the bridge, and then rebuilt. But, it's a pretty important historic structure, as well as, a usable bridge on a Class 6 road. So that's important. And in a larger sense, restoring the rock collar would be pretty cool too. And that's all I have.
Okay. Does anybody else want to comment on this at this time? And as I mentioned, clearly the Board of Selectmen would be going back to DES before we attempted any reconstruction of the buttress or the collar. They've been fairly hands-off and told us that they consider it the town's dam. They're not concerned if the dam fails because of the downstream wetlands and because of the size of the impoundment being relatively small. But the Board of Selectmen has certainly recognized its historic value and the fact that it makes that road usable from end to end. Oh, Mr. Rhodes?
May I?
And then I'll recognize the Water
sorry.
Commission.
No, just what you were saying, Mr. Robertson, about the Errol Roads, 70 Church Street. Is whoever's going to look at this planning on getting somebody with historic, given what Mr. Adams just said, historic rock structural knowledge involved? Because I do know that the Heritage Commission has the ability to, I think, tap people who have that expertise. Have worked, I think, in Portsmouth, which I believe is a seaside town, with granite works.
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen would certainly be interested in the Heritage Commission's input on that, because unless, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any of us have a line on colonial rock structures and their restoration as they relate to bridges that serve as Class 6 roads and dams, but.
Not yet.
We're getting there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Lisa, yes, if you could,
Andy, can we have the names of the water commissioners for the minutes?
we have Sage McKenzie, who's sitting here, and we have Lisa, who is going to give us her full name for the minutes.
I'll spell it too if you need it. Lisa Dufresne. Any Frenchies in the crowd?
West Side guy ought to be able to spell that.
Oh, he can spell it.
I can spell it.
Totally can spell it. So, been a water commissioner for like hardly any time at all, and wonder if, I read a little bit about this in the minutes to the prior meeting you guys had. Can you just give me a little history on what's happened out there?
Sure. Well, I'll start at the beginning. We believe that the Class 6 road with the bridge that also serves as a dam for Thurston Pond was built about 1772. Over the years, the town has, or landowners from time to time, have gone up and cleared off beaver debris that accumulates at the upstream side of the bridge on the dam. Backs the water up. The impoundment ranges between 6 acres and 13 acres, 13 acres being the maximum. And our highway agent recently went up and, in the opinion of many, got a little aggressive with the cleaning of the beaver debris and actually lowered the height of the pond significantly, and it appears that some rocks were probably removed too from the entryway of the dam. They were under the beaver debris.
So how often does that have to happen where the beaver, I used to live on 30 acres, I had beaver problems all the time, and
Yep.
I'm quite familiar with that. How often do the beavers get active enough that you have to go down there? Is it a combination of the beaver and the rain, or is it just the rain, or?
I think it was a combination, it's a combination of the beavers, it's a combination of just the natural flow that brings sticks, debris, anything that's floating down there and catches up. We've had a very infrequent maintenance plan. Typically, if a landowner has complained about water backing up, beyond the usual, we've tapped the highway agent and had them go up and clean the debris and lower the level a little bit. Typically, the Board of Selectmen has been involved in that, and we've tried to pick an opportune time during the year when it wouldn't affect wildlife habitat, that sort of thing. Typically, we've done it in late September or October, when the water was a little bit lower. There weren't nesting birds, that sort of thing.
The other thing is that the person that was our beaver control contractor retired 2 years ago, and the landowner wasn't aware of that, so the population of the beavers could be up significantly from prior years.
We do have a contracted beaver service person that we use regularly for Class 5 highway mitigation, but we hadn't had him up there recently.
So typically the beavers are taken care of, and they haven't been? Is that what you're saying?
Not with regard to Thurston Pond, no.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever really done much beaver management on Thurston Pond. We've managed the problem by just removing the debris and letting it go. The beaver management that we've done is almost exclusively with regard to Class 5 roads.
Okay. So in terms of what you would like, feel free to come on up here. Okay.
Because I just went there like right before the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I walk down there a lot too. I live on Middle. I'm just wondering sort of what your thoughts are in terms of what would be our role beyond going down and taking a look?
Well, I don't know exactly what role the Board of Selectmen would have for you, but we do have a water commission. You are elected officials, and you are specifically charged with maintenance and review of Thurston Pond Dam and Freese's Pond Dam. So it occurred to us that if we were talking with abutters and the Conservation Commission and the Heritage Commission about a maintenance plan for the dam or restoration efforts for the dam, that we should invite you to the meetings and certainly seek your input with regard to the plans, or at least make you aware of what the Heritage Commission, the Conservation Commission, abutters, and the Board of Selectmen might do to the dams that you're charged with.
Okay.
Sage Mackenzie. So we went up there right before the meeting. It looks pretty rough. My biggest concern going up there was the erosion from the equipment. It's pretty significant, and I think with all the rainfall, because it's at the bottom of a hill and it is a Class 6 road, I think that there's going to be some significant erosion problems to come. I think also focusing on before obviously restoring the stone to that dam, but also planting riparian vegetation like high bush blueberries. And I don't know if that would be a conservation job or, because obviously it's not a heritage job, but there needs to be a little bit more bank stability because that road's probably gonna wash out at some point.
Oh, the road, what we're interested in, and the road certainly is particularly above the uphill side of the dam, is in rough condition, primarily due to four-wheel drive vehicles in the spring. I know the last time the abutters had done some logging in there, that was appropriately replanted with grass to hold it, that sort of thing. But a combination of four-wheelers and four-wheel drive trucks, I think, has pretty much eradicated the benefit of that. But our primary concern at this point is the actual section of road that serves as the dam, the stone part of it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if has anybody, I know there's residents that's there. I took pictures. It's clear that there was, the stones are definitely disturbed, but I just wanted to make note that there is also an additional erosion problem that's going to happen in the near future. And there is quite a bit of debris. Like I said, I took pictures if anybody's interested from this afternoon.
I I think all of us have been up there fairly recently.
Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to mention that because that will be another problem, I'm sure, to come. Yeah, I don't know much about historic dams.
Well, I think probably the best way for us to proceed is to work with particularly the folks in this room, to develop a plan. I think clearly there's interest in some restoration, and we also need to adopt a maintenance plan that has a specific annual component, or more frequently if needed, as opposed to just when someone notices that it might need a little maintenance on a 3 or 4 year basis. Doing that. So probably the best thing to do here is for the board to develop some sort of basic plan, maybe look to the Heritage Commission if they have a lead on an expert who could give us some help with recommendations for the stone, and keep everybody involved as we move forward. But I think that it's fairly straightforward. There are two components, that the board is interested in. One, restoring the dam to what everyone believes it was prior to the most recent scourge of beaver debris, and developing a maintenance plan and making sure that we've got folks that are keeping an eye on it.
I just wanted to say I agree with Ms. McKenzie's point there of it's not just where that ring was disturbed, but there was obviously some smoothing and grading efforts on the uphill face of the dam that
There are some large scratches that were clearly made by a hydraulic
that
bucket.
when we were in there before, that was full of blueberries, brush, and pretty good sized stuff holding it down, and now it's dirt. So, I do agree with you there.
Yeah, it's pretty chewed up.
So, to me,
Not
it's,
aesthetic at all.
well, not just not aesthetic, but it did take some of the structure, the dirt structure away.
Yeah, the bank stability and everything. It's a little concerning.
Okay, well, I think at this point, then, the board will work to gather some information that will enable us to put together a plan, and we will keep all parties involved. And when I say all parties, we'll certainly notify the abutters, the water commissioners, the Heritage Commission, and the Conservation Commission as we move forward on this.
Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Adams?
One other thing. Hi, Maura Adams, 40 Thurston Pond Road, a butter. Just wanted for the minutes to mention that we do have, Brian and I have filed a complaint with DES Wetlands Bureau that is currently chugging through their system, which is apparently very slow per their website. But that is there, and we will keep you all posted, and you'll probably hear from them before we do.
Great, thank you. Mr. Cross, you haven't spoken yet, and then Mr. Rhodes?
Ed Cross, 4 Thurston Pond Road. I guess one of my questions I would have is, do we have any evidence of exactly what might have been removed as far as any type of stonework that was there? That would be my first question.
We have the original pictures that DES provided us, which are not too specific with regard to the stones. I think if you look at some of the plans, the hydroelectric plan or survey that was done, and I've seen some other photos, and I can't remember who showed them to me, that make it quite clear that there was, and they weren't particularly large stones, but there was a collar of sorts above the sluiceway where the beaver debris built up. But that's certainly one of the things that we'll be looking into as we move forward.
So when we were at that meeting, and we had the state people there looking at the roadway and the bridge itself, and also the dam, I just recall their comments saying structurally speaking, that it was actually in very, very good shape, especially considering the age of the dam itself.
They did indeed say that.
They also had a recommendation, I believe, which was to remove the beaver debris that was on top.
Yep. And
continue to monitor the beaver activity. I don't know how much was disturbed, but I would want to know how much we plan to reattach to something that's a historical marker. I've fished that pond for the past 18 years, on and off. I do not believe that a lot of the height of the dam was affected, just from my own experience, and I just wanted to share that. I also know that the day after the large rain that we had, after they cleared the beaver dam, the amount of water that was spilling over was quite significant. And I also recall when we were up there before the beaver debris was moved, that the water was already spilling over and running down the roadway. I can't imagine what might have happened if that debris hadn't been removed with these last few big rainstorms that we've had. I would assume we would have had a considerable wash away potentially on the roadway itself. So in all of what I'm saying is, I'm not that upset that we removed some of the beaver debris on a dam that was cluttered with beaver debris. It may not have been done as gingerly, but I also know how it is to work with a piece of heavy equipment. And I also know how it is to reach in to try to grab stuff. And when you have a beaver dam that is completely tangled up within whatever debris is on that bridge, on that dam, it's a hard thing to remove. And so I would just say have some consideration for some of the unknowns that we have in this room, not being there and not have experienced that ourselves or had somebody else experience that or to view that. That's my comment. I just want to make sure that we're all aware that stuff had to happen. That was the recommendation from the state. And whether the timing was right or the whole process was absolutely correct, I'm not sure. But it would be interesting to know if there's any factual evidence that shows specifically that rocks were removed. That's my comment.
Nope, appreciate your comments. Mr. Rhodes, did you?
I'm just wondering if the road agent was going to be on your copy list.
More than likely, yes. Okay. If there's nothing further, we'll move forward on that. And I thank everyone for coming. And if you were only here to talk with us about the dam, by all means, go home and eat dinner.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we have outstanding minutes from August 2nd, 2021.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, I'll vote then as well, so that's 3 in favor and 1 abstention, that being Mr. Dill because he wasn't there for that meeting. Moving on, we have an accounts payable manifest with today's date on it in the amount of $70,644.05.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
And we have a payroll manifest with tomorrow's date on it, a gross payroll of $81,186.49, which nets out at $53,560.62.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Two things I need to sign here. Nope, that one doesn't. Just yours. Okay, and I'll continue to read this. We have a letter from the Historical Society, specifically from Mary Ellen Moran of the Deerfield Historical Society, and they are writing to request permission to use the Board of Selectmen as supporters for the nomination process of 2021 Seven to Save project of the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. And this is an application for funds for the Deerfield Historical Society through the program. And they need local organizations, leadership, or groups that support the renovation of 5 North Road. That's the building that they own that they're trying to turn into a museum. So essentially, they are applying for money, and at some point, they're going to need a specific letter or signatures from the Board of Selectmen as that process moves.
Good idea.
So moved. Do we have to vote on it?
We can certainly vote to support the process, yes. So we've got a motion.
Second?
Okay, we've got a second. Further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, when we get the specifics of what they need for a letter or what they need for signatures on grant applications, we can take action. But in the meanwhile, we support their efforts.
Probably ought to vote.
Oh, those in favor?
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous. Okay, and with regard to signatures, let me get my glasses for this. We have an application for reimbursement to the state, and this is for property that is consumed by state forests or state parks. We have 3 properties listed here. Our portion of Bear Brook State Park, the number of acres per dread is 1,825 acres. The value per acre is calculated at $1,279.56 for a total assessed valuation of $2,335,200. We have Pawtuckaway State Park, our portion of that, which is 506.6 acres. Value per acre is calculated at $1,917.29 for a total assessed valuation of $971,300. And we have our portion of Woodman State Forest, which we share with Northwood. The number of acres in Deerfield is 88.6. And for some reason, Woodman State Forest is valued at $1,616.25 per acre for a total valuation of $143,200. And I'm not certain why Woodman State Forest, much of which is marsh, would be valued at a much higher rate than the portion in Bear Brook or Pawtuckaway. But we do need a motion to apply.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Now, do we get a separate one on the fish and game owned lands, like the wildlife management
I
areas?
believe we do, actually. This is from Dred
Yeah.
for their state forest or state park. We also have the letter supporting the petition that was presented to us last week. This is the redistricting petition. And what we've used for language is the actual language from the petition, and then stated that the Board of Selectmen voted in support of the petition. So we've actually already made
Already
a
did that one, right?
motion, so we just need to sign it.
I just want to point out, I wasn't here for the last meeting, but I completely support this, the petition.
And there's a spot for you to sign it in
Excellent.
support. We also have a personnel action request. This requires one signature, and this is for the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director position, which I believe has been filled now, and the new employee is Eric Menard, a young man with a bachelor's and a master's degree in recreation, who's from Milton, Vermont. And actually went to school at Southern New Hampshire University and is familiar with the area, but of the folks interviewed, and that was the final decision. So I would need a motion to sign this so we can pay him.
So moved.
I just have a question. Who pays for him? Is that out of the revolving fund, or is that out of the town?
That particular position right now, half is funded out of the budget, half is funded out of the 80 fund.
Okay.
Did you second it?
Hmm?
Did you second it?
Second, I guess.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
I will sign it and pass it on. Oh, I'm signing the wrong spot. Okay. Which brings us to the town administrator's report.
I have several items for you this evening. First is getting back to the board on their question on roadside mowing. That is to begin this week.
Beautiful.
So you should see the contractor out there. The road agent also contacted the company that sprays for knotweed, and according to that company, they will begin treatment in the fall once the plant blooms. I think, as I understand the explanation, that's the best time to eradicate it, when it's taking up from the soil. An update on a maintenance issue here at the George B. White Building. The town clerk's air conditioning unit is down currently. We've installed a window air conditioner for them to get them through. We have called a contractor to come in and give us an estimate. The internal unit of the split system is no longer functioning, so I've asked them to give me a quote on a replacement part for that, which they came back with approximately $2,500. That's if they can find a replacement head for it. It's an older unit, so they are looking for that. And the second estimate that he's getting for me, in case they can't find a replacement part, would be we'd have to install a whole new system because they don't work with one another, which would be approximately $5,500. So as soon as I have a definitive of which way we're going, I will come back to the board. Either way, my recommendation is for the board to approve the Municipal Government Building Trust Fund to use to pay for it, so it doesn't impact the budget. That's what that was designed to accommodate. And that currently has a balance of $54,587, so it should be able to cover it. And that's all I have for this evening.
Okay, just a quick question, John, with regard to the airflow in this building, has that work been completed? I know I've seen gentlemen on the roof.
Yes, I meant to have an update for you, but Ray was unable to get in touch with him to find out exactly what is left to be done.
Okay.
My understanding is it may just be the electrical hookup, so we're
Great.
waiting on the electrician. But I should have an update for you next week.
Okay, questions for John?
I have questions about government buildings.
Yes.
With our budget for government buildings, the government buildings in my mind is this building, the firehouses, the town hall. Park and Recs is also on that government buildings. Are we charging repairs for the rec buildings out of our government buildings line?
He pays for those repairs out of the 80 fund, depending on what it is.
And in the past, it's actually, Parks and Rec has paid for more than they were expected. I'm thinking with regard to the furnaces, when we didn't have money available for government buildings, we actually hit Parks and Rec up for the expenditures for at least one new furnace, and I believe some water filtration too.
For this building?
Yes.
Well, I just don't think we should have to pay, seeing as our budget never passes, and we're working on this budget we've had forever without the Park and Recs buildings, we shouldn't be using that money to pay for those buildings.
There hasn't been a recent occurrence, but depending on what the problem is, I usually work it out with Nick. If it's a strictly Parks and Rec issue, then it's typically the 80 fund that pays for it.
It's all Park and Recs issues.
Yep.
So, okay.
Do you have something specific in mind?
No, I just think we should stop using the government building money for Park and Recs
It
buildings.
typically is not used for the outbuildings, if that's what you're talking about at the fields.
Yes,
That's usually the 80 fund.
okay.
Other business, new business. Alden.
Old Home Day is scheduled for the 21st, and fireworks up at the fairgrounds the night of the 22nd, which thank you very much to the fairgrounds for letting us do that, and the fair directors. We are looking for volunteers for Old Home Day. We are looking for, if you want to sponsor Old Home Day or sponsor a specific activity, please get in touch with Nick. If you're raring to go and volunteer for Old Home Day, the first major thing is this Friday at 9, we get to rebuild the chicken pit for a limited time only up there. So swing over by the gazebo field at 9 o'clock Friday morning if you want to move some cement blocks. It would really, it's not going to be cool out, but that's why Jeff's doing it. Jeff says he wants to start at 9 and be get done by 9:30 if enough people show up, so, yeah. And unfortunately, it's going to be a limited time chicken pit, which we're probably going to have to take apart again, but it'll be here and we'll make some chicken for Old Home Day. So that's the big announcement out of the rec.
Okay. New business, other business, I sent an email today. I talked to Mike at Grown Construction. He had called me back and said that they can't meet with us at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, and they would like to meet with us at 10 o'clock. And I know Dick told me that he can't do that. Gary and John had assured me they could, and I'm hoping some other select people might be able to go with us.
I will. I can.
I can't commit to anything weather dependent this year.
Okay, I will, and I'll talk to Fred, and I don't know if people want to carpool or not, but I will talk to the chief and see how many people he can stuff in a cruiser, or,
I've seen the new white one out quite a bit, by the way.
that looks good.
Yeah.
That was at 10, right?
It is.
I could find
In Rochester on Washington Road. Suite 120 Washington Road, Suite 302, if I remember correctly.
Email.
And as I had mentioned earlier, I have a conference with John Booton, the municipal attorney that we're looking for advice from with regard to Thurston Pond Road. And that's being tomorrow afternoon. I had pushed to try to get him Friday afternoon or Monday, but he was in court both days and couldn't meet with me, so. Other new business, old business, or other business?
If you do a Zoom with him, I'd like to sit in if,
Okay. Dick?
Did we decide that the R&D does the shoulder gravel?
I believe Steve had given us a date at the last meeting that he thought they were going to be in to do the shoulder
The two
gravel.
projects they did with the bid contract, that included shoulder gravel. They're doing that.
I had 2 calls this week that people are waiting. I told them it came up at the meeting, but I couldn't tell them a date.
I don't think Steve didn't have a date, but he thought it was either this week or the following week.
I'll check with him and get a note out to the board tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else? Hearing none, I would look for citizens' comments at this time. Hearing none, I would look for a motion to,
6:15, motion to adjourn?
Second?
those in favor?
all right.
Aye.